It was on the 29th of July that horrendous murder of those 3 young girls, the injuring of 8 others and 2 adults took place in Southport. And it was the most extraordinary 24 hours afterwards of riots, of violence, and of massive online speculation as to who the perpetrator really, truly was. And it led to me saying this on a video. To say there are 1 or 2 questions. Was this guy being monitored by the security services? Some reports say he was, others less sure. The police say it's a non-terror incident, just as they said the stabbing of an Army Lieutenant Colonel in uniform on the streets of Kent the other day was a non-terror incident. I just wonder whether the truth is being withheld from us. Well, I felt we weren't being told the full truth. I don't know what the reasons were, and I felt even more justified in what I said just a couple of weeks later when we learnt that Callaghan, the triple murderer from Nottingham the year before, when we learnt that actually 3 years before that atrocity, a very senior doctor had said, if you let this man out, he will go out and kill. Now, quite why we weren't allowed to be told a bit more about this man, I don't know. Had we been told more about him, I do not think the Southport riots would have happened on anything like the level that they did. But this was seized upon, of course, by everybody on the left, the centre-left, mainstream media and politics to say it's Farage that's inciting the riots. And this has been said since the 3rd of August. I've never once responded to it. I've just frankly ignored it and waited for more to happen. Well, yesterday, Jonathan Hall KC, who was the independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, the sort of terror czar, if you like, said, I think we are at a point in time where trust in public institutions should not be taken for granted. And when matters of high importance in the public mind happen, that, as far as is possible, for the police, the government, the media, should level with them. Those institutions will not continue to enjoy the trust that they have had to date if there is any general sense that things are being hidden, and that is exactly what the conspiracy theorists and the grievance merchants depend upon. And Lord Carlisle, also spoke out strongly on this, the former independent reviewer of terrorism legislation, and a very intelligent comment. I think we should get out more information if we possibly can. We have learned from these events that when somebody is arrested and there was a potential issue like this arising, the police probably need to tell the media who has been arrested and what their background is. Well, I've got to tell you, folks, that is exactly what I was saying. Tell us the truth, because you would not have had that frenzied online speculation. Why the government, why the police chose not to do it is something we need answers to. Perfectly clear from the views of those 2 gentlemen that actually it was government that led to those riots being far worse than they could have been. Now, there was some pretty appalling, abusive stuff said about me online, so I'd like apologies, please, from Anna Soubry, Brendan Cox, Dawn Butler MP, David Baines MP, Kim Johnson MP, Stand Up to Racism, Andy MacDonald MP, the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner, Jess Phillips, former SNP leader Humza Yousaf, former Tory MP Tobias Elwood, the Metro Mayor of Liverpool Steve Rotherham, the Times newspaper, LBC's James O'Brien, Trevor Phillips, Tom Tugendhat, and the former Assistant Commissioner of the Police, Neil Basu. Oh, and Ian Hislop as well. Well, there we are. I might get an apology from all of them, but I rather doubt that I will. But, Joe, and I know, you were fairly critical of me at the time as well, actually what's been said there is right and very interesting.
What's been said is right and very interesting. I was critical of you because you went on Twitter instead of using your position in the House of Commons. And
the House wasn't sitting, to be fair.
Yes, it was.
Well, for a day and then...
But it was the wrong place to do it. Well, let me just finish, because I think it ill-behoves a man of Nigel's intelligence and ability to play the Sid James of nudge, nudge, wink, wink when it comes to conspiracy theories.
No. I was asking to dampen down the conspiracy theories.
But you should have asked the Home Secretary in Parliament. Anyway, you didn't...
I didn't get the opportunity to, because All that happened, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Well, we were anyway. We've had this
broader point.
But the broader point is absolutely yes.
Right.
It is much better that people are told the truth, and in fact, we've heard that today in the Lucy Letby inquiry, the Thirlwell inquiry. Yeah. Interestingly, that the parents of those children who died or who were injured were not told about the concerns that had been raised. Now, this happens all the time in the health service.
So look,
and the thing that you mentioned about
so why did Starmer and others decide to keep stum? So they must have known, as we all knew, that some crazy stuff was happening online.
So look, to be fair, to try and be fair to them, the world has changed. In the last 5-10 years, social media, Twitter, 20 years ago, you could keep things quiet.
You can't now.
And you had a different relationship with the media and the police.
That's right. And so in government, I don't think government's caught up. I think they think, oh, well, we've got to keep it quiet. There's an ongoing inquiry. And I'm afraid with social media, things are going to go crazy.
Well, exactly.
And so you need more transparency and you need more openness.
Well, as I say,
that's what caught them out.
But it's also the police. I mean, I dispute the fact that unless you've got any evidence that it was a government decision. No, sometimes the police are absolutely not very sensible about dealing with things and not very quick, but they are dealing with an ongoing issue.
I think you're right. I think it's an operational...
Leading politicians...
Nigel, I really don't think you should blame the government.
They should have known that a cauldron was building up out there of false speculation.
Yes, but you were part of it.
That is absolute rot. I was not part of it in any way at all. I was saying, for goodness sake, tell us the truth.
Yes,
had they told us the truth, those riots would not have happened on that scale.
But you had the opportunity to ask the Home Secretary either in writing or in the comments.
You could have written it.
By the way, number one...
You could have written it, and you could have done it properly.
And number two, I got a much bigger, more immediate audience on X than I ever would have got.
But that's the problem.
But
that's the problem.
But that's the problem.
Which sums up why...
Why are you in Parliament? Why are you in Parliament? Why don't you just tweet on X?
Well, because I have to represent people in Parliament, and that's why they want to be represented. But the truth of it is, and you've just summed it up, X is now so big, government and police need to recognise that.
Yeah, and they need to catch up. I mean, look, I would give the government the benefit of the doubt, because having been a government minister, there's a whole bunch of stuff operationally that's happening. There's no way that the Home Secretary or the Prime Minister knows about what the operational elements, the detail is.
And they wouldn't have gotten, there was
and they wouldn't know about that. And it's to do with the people on the ground.
Very simple question. Well, I tell you what, if anything as beastly as this happens again, let's hope some very significant
But then I would like you, Nigel, to say, stop speculating to the people who are not...
Well, what I was saying was, tell us the truth and the speculation will end. I was absolutely... Do you know what? I was the only MP that got this right, and I really believe that. I genuinely
What did the other MPs say? I mean, they said that you were,
yes. They were perfectly happy with the silence, whilst out there was a ferment growing in the country, and they got it wrong. In a minute, I doubt there's been a presidential debate of such significance in America for many, many decades. Donald Trump, of course, everyone knows who he is, but Kamala Harris, well, she may have been the vice president for the last 4 years, but not really very widely known. How much does it matter? What are the polls telling us? I'm joined by Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of Real Clear Politics, who joins me live from Chicago. Tom, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on the programme. How much, in your view, and in the view of the polls, how much does this debate tonight actually matter?
Well, the old saw is that presidential debates don't really matter until they do. And we saw that on June 27th when Joe Biden's performance, it mattered a lot. It drove him out of the race. And so the question is this another debate that's going to matter a lot? Or will it maybe not matter very much at all? I mean, the polls tell us this is a very, very close race. Kamala Harris is up 1.1% nationally in our Real Clear Politics average. That's down from about 1.9% just a week or 10 days ago. So some of that bump from the convention and from her taking over has sort of worn off. And in the battleground states where this race is going to be decided, it's very, very close. Harris has about a 1.5 lead in Wisconsin, a 1 point lead in Michigan. Pennsylvania's tied, and everything else is a half a point or less. And so even if this debate shifts opinion only by a 1% or 0.5%, it could make a difference in some of these key battleground states.
Yeah, it could. Am I right to think that the American public don't really know Harris very well?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, she has been vice president for 4 years. Obviously she was in the Senate before that. But in terms of, her operating as her own candidate, as the person who would be the commander in chief, would be the leader of the free world. She hasn't really put out a whole lot of explanations or policy positions over the course of the last 50 days or so that she's been the effective Democratic nominee. And so I think there are a lot of questions. There are some undecided voters who are they're going to watch this debate very carefully. They're waiting to hear more from her because she simply hasn't, given herself, given explanations to the public via interviews or press conferences. She hasn't done any of that. And so this might be one of their first and perhaps only chances to see her live, and she's going to have to defend her policies. She's going to have to explain her position. She's going to have to be quick on her feet, and they're looking to see how she's going to do.
Fascinating. Tom Bevan, thank you for joining us.